In this video, I'm going to review striking similarities between Artemis, aka Goddess Diana of Ephesus, and the Virgin Mary. What we are going to look at is how Ephesus turned Artemis into the Virgin Mary. The parallels between Artemis and the Virgin Mary are too significant to just be dismissed as mere coincidence. By the end of this video, you'll find yourself questioning whether Artemis and the Virgin Mary are not one and the same. In the heart of the ancient world lies Ephesus, a seat where the divine walked among mortals. Here, the power of goddess Artemis once reigned supreme, her influence woven into the very fabric of daily life. But Ephesus holds a secret, one that whispers throughout the ruins. How did Artemis, the revered virgin goddess, transform into the Virgin Mary, Mother of God? This is a story of a profound transformation, a tale of faith, power, and enduring legacy. Let's now turn to the glory and power of Artemis, whose enduring influence affected everyone in Ephesus. To be able to grasp the depth of this discussion, I want you to watch the whole video before forming a conclusion as to whether Artemis and the Virgin Mary are one and the same person. Artemis, goddess of the hunt, protector of women, and symbol of fertility. To the people of Ephesus, she was more than a deity. She was life itself. Her temple, a wonder of the ancient world, stood as a testament to her power and influence. But Artemis was not just worshipped. She was the cornerstone of the city's economy. Traders and craftsmen thrived on the sale of her statues, amulets, and relics, making Artemis not just a goddess, but a business. The glory of Artemis was not to last forever, as the dawn of the new faith resulted in the clash of cultures. But change was coming to Ephesus. As Christianity began to spread, the teachings of Paul the Apostle ignited both conversion and conflict. For the craftsmen of Ephesus, who depended on the cult of Artemis for their livelihood, this new faith was more than a spiritual threat. It was an economic one. A silversmith named Demetrius, who made silver shrines of Artemis, brought in a lot of business for craftsmen here. He called them together along with the traders in related trades and said, "You know, my friends, that we receive a good income from this business. And you see and hear how this fellow Paul has convinced and led astray large numbers of the people here in Ephesus and in practically the whole province of Asia. He said that gods made by human hands are not gods at all. There's a danger not only that our trade will lose its good name, but also that the temple of the great goddess Artemis will be discredited, and the goddess herself, who is worshipped throughout the province of Asia and the world, will be robbed of her divine majesty." That's Acts 19, verse 25 to 27. For us to continue this discussion, subscribe to my channel and smash the notice bell so that whenever I upload a continuation of this video, you will be notified. Demetrius, possibly a de facto leader among the Ephesian craftsmen, perhaps akin to a chairman of Ephesus' Chamber of Commerce and Trade, feared the impending loss of the brand royalty towards the Artemis cult. Concerned that Paul's teaching would erode their market and diminish the reverence of Artemis, Demetrius rallied the city's artisans. Their fears led to a violent riot, a dramatic confrontation between the entrenched old beliefs and the emerging new faith of Christianity. In the chaos, the city's future hung in the balance. As the dust settled, it became clear that the old ways could not stand against the rising tide of Christianity. The smart businessmen saw the writing on the wall. They began to shift their focus, not just out of faith, but survival. The cult of Artemis would evolve, its symbols and meanings reinterpreted in the light of the Virgin Mary. I would not have thought of similarities or parallel between Artemis, goddess of the hunt, and the Virgin Mary until I read a scholarly article where this scholar actually drew parallels between Artemis and the Virgin Mary, showing that Artemis actually transformed into the Virgin Mary. Now, was he right? Let's see more evidence based on historical facts. As Christianity spread, even Artemis herself saw the need for change. It was time for her to transform herself into the new faith and continue to exist. There's a saying that says, if you can't beat them, join them. In Artemis' case, if you can't beat them, deceive them. At the first glance, Artemis and the Virgin Mary seem worlds apart. One a pagan goddess, the other a figure of Christian reverence. Beneath the surface, the parallels are striking. Both were revered for their virginity and purity, standing as powerful symbols of protection and motherhood in their own ways. Artemis, the huntress, was the virgin goddess, untouched and pure, fiercely guarding her chastity. Mary, similarly, is celebrated for her perpetual virginity. In Ephesus, a city accustomed to venerating a pure and protective female figure, the transition from Artemis to Mary was almost seamless. Artemis was also a protector of women, especially in childbirth, and the guardian of children. Mary, though known as the mother of Jesus, became the ultimate mother figure, revered for her role in the nativity and invoked for protection by mothers and children alike. The roles that Artemis once filled were now embraced by Mary, giving her a familiar and powerful presence in Ephesus. Even in their celestial imagery, Artemis and Mary share a profound connection. Artemis, often depicted with the moon and stars, was a goddess of the night and nature. Mary, too, is frequently shown with a crown of stars, often with the moon at her feet, symbolizing her heavenly grace and protection. The visual and symbolic continuity between these two figures is unmistakable, reflects the deep cultural roots that Mary's veneration grew from in Ephesus. And then there was the economy. Just as the city's merchants once thrived on the trade of Artemis statues, amulets, and relics, so too did the sale of Marian relics become a significant aspect of religious life. Pilgrims sought out objects touched by Mary, images and statues, believing them to carry her protective grace. This trade in Marian relics mirrored the ancient commerce that had once centered on Artemis, demonstrating how deeply engraved the concept of sacred, protecting objects was in the culture of Ephesus. It is surprising that the church council that discussed the role of Mary in the church or in Christianity accidentally happened to take place in Ephesus in AD 431. How surprising. Was this an accident or was this intentional? With the Council of Ephesus in 431 AD approving the Theotokos role of Mary, Artemis' transition and transformation was eternally sealed. This transformation reached its climax in 431 AD when the Council of Ephesus was convened. Here, church leaders debated a question that would define Christianity. Was Mary, the mother of Jesus? Or was she Theotokos, the mother of God? In a city where Artemis had been worshipped as a powerful protector, the answer seemed clear. Mary was declared Theotokos, a title that resonated deeply with Ephesus' ancient traditions. The church council unanimously voted that Mary should be called Theotokos, the mother of God. Of course, not everyone. The church in the East protested, insisting that Mary should be called the God-bearer rather than the mother of God. The declaration of Mary as Theotokos wasn't just a theological triumph. It was a cultural victory for Ephesus. This title solidified Mary's role as a spiritual successor to Artemis, allowing the people to continue their tradition of venerating a protective divine mother figure. The ancient goddess, though no longer worshipped by name, lived on in Mary, who now carried the legacy of divine protection and motherhood. Artemis didn't have a son in the traditional sense, but she was seen as a protector of life. The transition from Artemis to Mary reflects a broader cultural shift, a way for Ephesus to retain its identity while embracing a new religious narrative. Today, Ephesus is a place of pilgrimage, not for goddess Artemis, but for the Virgin Mary. Yet the echoes of Artemis remain. In the merging of these two power figures, we see the story of a city that did not simply erase its past, but transformed it. allowing both old and new beliefs to coexist, reshaped into something timeless. In the hills above Ephesus, where Artemis once held sway, the Virgin Mary is now revered, the goddess and the mother, two figures who, despite their differences, share a legacy that has shaped the soul of a city. Ephesus is more than a collection of ancient stones. It's a living narrative of faith adaptation and transformation. The story of how Artemis became Mary is not just a tale of religious evolution. It is a testament to the enduring power of belief and the city's ability to reshape itself through the ages. In Ephesus, the past is never truly gone. It lives on in the hearts of those who believe. And in that transformation, we find the true spirit of the ancient city. The evolution of these figures in Ephesus raises intriguing questions about the intersection of the ancient traditions and the emerging faiths. As we wrap up this discussion, let us revisit the question that I asked at the beginning of the video, when I asked you to watch the whole video before forming an opinion. Would Artemis and Mary be truly one and the same? The reason why I have concluded that actually Artemis transformed into the Virgin Mary is because of the following reasons, in addition to what I've discussed so far. First, there's a clear evidence in the Bible Mary, the mother of Jesus, was not a perpetual virgin, because the Bible tells us in Matthew 24 verse 25 that when Joseph woke up from the dream, when the angel was telling him that the pregnancy of Mary was not by another man, but it came by the power of God because Mary would give birth to a Messiah. The Bible records when Joseph woke up, he went and took Mary home as his wife and did not consummate the marriage until after the birth of Jesus. For those of you with hard hearts who cannot believe, what it means is that Joseph only had sexual relations with Mary after Jesus was born. And I remember years back as a young believer, began to debate with my former Catholic colleagues, fellow altar boys, about Mary having children. And as I was reading the Bible, I found this passage which showed that Mary had actually children. And I said, but Mary had children. And they began to tell me, and I was very young in the Lord, to say, no. In the Jewish culture, when he says he had brothers and sisters, those were cousins. In their culture, they call those as cousins. But that is not true. Furthermore, in Matthew 33 verse 55, we see that Mary had other children beyond Jesus, brothers and sisters of Jesus. And the locals, the contemporaries, people that knew this family, knew about brothers and sisters of Jesus. Now, these verses challenge the later Christian concept of Mary as a perpetual virgin. Could it be that the transformation of Artemis into the Virgin Mary was a strategic adaptation to align the new faith with deeply rooted traditions in Ephesus? The parallels between Artemis and Mary suggest that Artemis did indeed evolve, adapting her identity to remain relevant in a rapidly changing religious landscape. The blending of these two figures demonstrates the powerful way in which old beliefs can be repurposed to fit new narratives, ensuring their survival across generations. Now, drop a comment below if you agree with my conclusion that actually Artemis transitioned and transformed into the Virgin Mary. The parallels between these two figures are too significant to be dismissed as mere coincidence. Both perpetual virgins, both protectors of mothers and children, both having celestial symbols of stars and the moon, both having their relics, amulets, and statues being sold as a business. This is not a mere coincidence. This was strategic. And therefore, Artemis transformed herself into the Virgin Mary, and she lives forever. And this is how Ephesus transformed Artemis into the Virgin Mary. For us to continue this discussion, subscribe to my channel and smash the notice bell. Now I have several other videos that you would want to watch. I have a playlist here about Catholicism versus Christianity. I have another video here about Jehovah's Witnesses and their beliefs. I also have a devotional playlist about how to hear the voice of God. And also have a video here about African Christianity versus European Christianity.